A little longer. That was more of a 5 count. All right, all right, all right. And we are live. We are live. What's up, family? Once again, welcome to another episode of the Waking Giant News Show. I am your host, Brother Jay, from Chair of the Ministry of Information for the Phoenix Local Organizing Committee for Justice for L.O.C. As always, I have next to me my brother Tremicus. And today we have another special guest from the Ministry of Information. Brother Jeff is in the house to add his perspective on a couple of topics that we're going to be discussing today, family. So once again, as always, if you are on our YouTube, please like and share. Also, if you're on our Facebook, please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We're trying to get the word out. We're building this platform. So as you can see, feel free to donate as we continue to build this platform to $PHXLOC. All right, family. So welcome to another episode of the Waking Giant News Show. Once again, I'm your host, Brother Jay, and we're going to be talking about some very, very important things today, family. So let's jump right on in. First of all, first I want to introduce. I want the brothers to introduce themselves, tell our audience a little bit about themselves, just in case there are people out there who don't know as of yet. Feel me? All right, Brother Chamicus, introduce yourself and give us a little brief intro.
What you say, brother?
No, I'm saying give yourself a brief little intro.
Peace, family. Peace, Brother Tremicus. Here, Chair of the Phoenix Local Organizing Committee for Justice for L.O.C. Happy to be here on TWG, The Waking Giant. I'm your brother. I'm your brother here. We want to talk about a few things. So thank you, brother. Thank you for having me, as usual.
Of course. Brother Jeff, introduce yourself to the family. All right.
Peace and blessings, yo. My name is Brother Jeff. You all saying I'm a part of the Ministry of Information as well as the Ministry of Defense. Pretty much, I'm the type of individual where my whole motivation is to build and support my family and always possible to help us grow into a more independent, independent source for ourselves. So that way we can actually get not only real information, real knowledge, real understanding, but actually get real growth in our community.
That was pretty good, brother. I like that one. All right. So here we go. All right, family. So, the purpose of the show even being created, man, was to deliver pertinent information that is for the advancement of our community. Our whole mission for the Phoenix L.O.C. is self-sufficiency, self-reliance, do for self, and take care of our own, period, point blank. Educate our own, grow our own food, create our own media apparatuses, etc., etc., etc. We are beyond protest. We are the solution to the protest. And that's how I see it. And creating a media arm, family, is very important. The information that we bring it to you, all right, it's things that's going on out there that not everyone is paying attention to. And we feel that as our organization, the Waking Giant News Show, we have another perspective that we'd like for you to see, family, okay? So, with that said, our first subject, what we're going to be talking about tonight are the events going on the island of Haiti, family. What is going on? Brother Chamicus, what do you see? As we understand, there's a long history of the turmoil that happened on this island since its emancipation from its own enslavers and colonizers, and through, well, I'll let you tell the history. I'll let you tell the story. But we understand that this island has been under siege for almost over 200 years. Tell us why, brother. What's going on, and how is it important and pertinent to our community, and what's going on, and how it can relate to our community today?
Well, brother, without going deep into the history of the island, I think that we as the people should always be concerned with what's happening in the diaspora, right? So anything that happens to Black people, people of African descent, anywhere in the world, we should be paying attention, right? But when we look at Haiti, Haiti has, from its inception, been exploited. It's been a country that's been exploited for its resources, and now it's a country that's being exploited for its people. Not to mention, I think just recently they discovered, I believe, oil, rich reserve oil off the coast of Haiti. So it's important that when we're looking at this, what's happening, that we're not just looking at a case of uh, political or pure political disagreement, right, between separate parties. We're looking at a class of elite that has ruled Haiti, particularly under the permission, the guidance of American corporate interests. And their desire is to control Haiti. And, I think that as time goes on and more of the truth is revealed, we're going to find out that the assassination of the recent assassination of the president of Haiti had everything to do with American and corporate interests on that island and that desire to control that island. Not only that, I think that we're going to find there's a tie to the vaccinations. A lot of us don't understand that it's not just about the COVID-19 virus. You got to understand that Pfizer and Moderna and others have invested millions in these vaccinations and the spread of these vaccinations, expecting a return of billions of dollars. I don't think it's a coincidence that soon after the assassination of the president of Haiti, you've seen the vaccinations enter into Haiti. So you have a lot going on there. I know we'll get into it and we'll unfold it. But since Haiti has fought for its freedom, the Western world has sought to punish and regain control of Haiti. That the Haitian Revolution is a spark that went around the world, right? In terms of showing a slave people to rebel against one at that time the most powerful nations on the earth, undisputedly one of the most powerful military minds in Napoleon and the French, one of the most powerful military minds in white history, right? So I think a lot's going to happen, a lot's going to unfold, a lot's going to be revealed.
What you think, Brother Jeff?
I'm actually kind of glad that Brother Chamikas went ahead and said that right word, you know what I'm saying, when he said American interest. Because I don't know if you guys had heard, but there was a highlight in the story where they say there was up to 28 individuals involved in the assassination, 26 being Colombian, 2 being American. You know what I'm saying? Actual American citizens. So with that little bit of information being put out now, it's like, pretty much what is the whole story behind this assassination? What brought it on? Was it just, we'll just go ahead and say, was it an independent thing? Or is it really the fact that there's way more into this story where it does involve, them folks? Don't want to put it all out there like that, but, you know what I'm saying, possibly involving them folks.
Right, and that's important, man. Yeah, we don't want no strikes and no dings and all that good stuff. But there's definitely a connection, man. When you look at it, it has those folks' print all over it.
That part.
What's the sense in bringing in supposedly an army or a group of assassins from Colombia? If the people right there in Haiti were already discontented, why didn't someone there do it? So what is the connection with the Colombians? What is the connection with the two Americans? Because those dudes was like Haitian Americans. I think they was from Miami or something. And they were supposedly used as translators in this whole thing. So there's a lot that's still unfolding in this. And I thought it was very important to bring it out, just for what the brother said earlier, man, which is about the diaspora. You know what I'm saying? And it's always important to keep the diaspora alert on what's happening. And Haiti itself, to me, that crowning jewel, because as the brother alluded to, this was the only free black nation free black nation on this side of the world. And we fought for that. The brothers and sisters fought for that. And I emphasize sisters too, fought for that. And they've been under turmoil ever since, man. But I think there's so many connections. There's so many connections. There's so many loose ends. And I think more and more things are going to be revealed as time goes on.
In fact, that's actually one of the biggest points about this, like kind of like that where we say that fingerprint being put on there. I don't know if the people or you or anybody else ever read or even seen the documentary that was put together too. You ever heard of Economic Hitman?
Mm-hmm.
The story of
Economic Hitman. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the diary of Economic Hitman. Yeah, I have that book.
And everything about what just took place is a nice chunk of what has been, well, one, put in that book, two, that's been constantly shown throughout history and things. So, especially when you highlighted the fact that, I guess you said they recently found oil in Haiti.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
so it's like when you start seeing things like that all of a sudden come up, and then a situation like this happens, you honestly you can't help but kind of go in that direction with this whole logic. You know what I'm saying? Like, my personal belief is like this. I love history. I study history regularly because the one thing about it is you constantly, if you study history, you see what your enemy has done in the past. As long as you take the time to study what they've done in the past, it's easier to see what they're doing right now. And everything which that they're basically printing or being put in front of us, being shown, it kind of smells like it. You know what I'm saying? There's no other way to necessarily put it. Now, granted, they might necessarily maybe using Colombians because of the fact that there being such a widespread of knowledge, and also the whole thing, the research, the internet and everything. That's just a nice way to cover up. You know what I'm saying? And low key, the United States has always been cool with Colombia. Well, to a degree.
Right, to a degree. But that's a good point, man. I think we have to understand where those connections lie. Or we can try to trace the steps. So we've seen this before. That's the point that I wanted to go to. We've seen this before. We've seen this before where the events surrounding an assassination of a president are shady, sketchy, other people are involved. We've seen this before. They say, as I continue to study the situation, I think Moise, his last name, that there was discontent among the people in Haiti, for this guy. And we got to think about it. This is also an instrument of that economic hitman situation, because what? You go in there, you destabilize the economy, you create a situation, and then what? When you destabilize the economy, who do the people blame? The president, the leader, right? So then you create discontent among the people against that leader, and then you take that leader out. Either that, or you do what they did with Aristide, and with Aristide, they exiled him. They exiled him. He had to get out of the country in the middle of the night. Okay, and I think he spent time in the Democratic in the Congo, the Republic of the DRC in the Congo. I think he was there for a while. I don't know if he ever came back. I don't know what the circumstances were, but I know that that's what he had to do. But at one time, he was popular among the people. And then all of a sudden, there's this discontent. Same thing with Gaddafi. Same thing with the cat down there in Venezuela, Chavez. Like they had, Chavez. Yeah, he was popular among the people all of a sudden, but the U.S. media is showing him as a pariah, as someone that he's an evil guy. You see what I'm saying? So then they paint this image. It's all about propaganda. And and creating these images just for justification, doing whatever they want to do.
And that's actually one of the biggest problems too, is because of the fact with the United States media, the mass media. In all reality, it's only shown from one perspective anyway. Well, if we come down to it, the rest of the world knows what's going on with us. But when it comes down to it, the United States really has no real understanding of what's going on with the rest of the world. And because of us being blinded like that, and we're only getting our source of information about the world from these limited resources outside of now. We have the blessings of the internet and citizen journalists. With them actually being able to put everything out like they are now, we're able to see what's really going on in the rest of the world, hear what everybody thinks about us around the world. So we have a bigger perspective of it now. And that's only still in the beginning stages though, too, because yeah, we have an ability, I should say. We have an ability to gain a broader aspect. Not that many people are really working for themselves to learn that aspect though. And because of that lack of knowledge or that lack of searching for that knowledge, a lot of people are still sitting in the dark and they don't realize how much they're in that dark. The rest of the world literally laughs at us because of our lack of knowledge about what's going on. Yo, they literally looking like, what's going on over there? They're blind or something? And the thing is, they literally are using the same tactics that they use all around the world where everybody looking at what's wrong with us. They use it on us on a daily basis and everybody act like it's okay. And so it's like really, you know what I'm saying, this whole awakening has to happen and not, you know what I'm saying, with our mind. And this example of everything that's going on in Haiti, you know what I'm saying, not only with the fact of the president being assassinated, but even the people standing up and, you know what I'm saying, really making it be known that they know, the people know that something's not right. They might not like the guy, but they know that something's not right. And that's I'm believing more reason why they're turning up the way they are.
Right, but not just there, right? They're turning up in Cuba. They're turning up in Cuba. They're turning up in Haiti. They're turning up in South Africa.
Yep.
They're turning up in Tigray. Well, Tigray is a whole situation. But look what's happening. You know, in the biblical sense, this would be called the uproars of the people, right? Because we're at the end times where now we're seeing nation against nation, people against people, kingdom against kingdom. And things are happening and moving in a more rapid pace. And events like this are going to start ratcheting up even more. I'm sure they felt this way in the 60s. They probably thought Armageddon was like right around the corner, you know what I'm saying, with everything that was happening within that 10-year period. So following that, Brother Chamikas, thinking about that, man, we got this, and I'm kind of adding this in here, that 12-person watch list now that the government just put out. 12 people that are on this list, and Brother Reza Islam is one of the people on the list that does misinformation 12 or something like that, right? Or does something like that. These white people put together this, you know, little thing about 12 people on social media, the social media world, that are purposely putting out misinformation. And Brother Reza Islam was number 5 on that list.
Oh, quit playing. That man gives nothing but straight factual knowledge. You know what I'm saying? He backs everything he has, everything he speaks on. He has literal physical evidence. He'll give you the documents. He shows you everything. That's almost
the problem.
Try to put them on a list like that, but at the same time, though, again, that goes with the whole thing of misguiding the people, because they show that they seeing that there's people out here who do give real information, and there's a whole lot who give false information. But you bunch them all together. Now you making the ones who are actually giving genuine information, real information, you making them look bad. But at the same time, how can you say somebody's pumping so much false information while at the same time he has constant guest speaking ventures? People are constantly, I believe he just wrote a book, maybe 2 by now, but brother just wrote a book not too long ago that's also, y'all saying, doing great on sales. Like, people love Brother Islam. I'm a big fan of Brother Islam. You know what I'm saying, Rizzo? You know what I'm saying? That dude is like, I love that brother, yo.
Me too, man. Much respect for that brother. And let me ask you, have you ever noticed they never said he was wrong?
Not one time.
It's not lies. They call it misinformation.
Which is also that double speak. That's just
lies.
double speak.
Right, just double speak. So what do you think about that, Brother Chamikas? What do you think about that, man?
Well, you got to understand that they started this a few months ago. I mean, they just talked about the list recently, a couple of days ago. But Brother Reza has been on that list for a few months, and you have to understand that this is a war between truth and lies. right? This is an actual war that's taking place for the minds of the people. And this whole idea, this whole thinking that's happening right now is there's a fear campaign going on. The fear campaign is to force people into these vaccinations. And anybody that's going to go against that agenda, I know you're going to talk about this in a minute. Anybody that's going to go against that information, brother, not only do they risk censorship, they risk their freedom. And in truth, it hasn't been said, they risk the loss of their lives. Again, this goes back to the president of Haiti. This goes back to Moisey. This goes back to several other leaders of countries who have lost their lives in recent months. I know that the fact checkers say it's something different when you go and look up the fact checkers, but I'm going to tell your whole audience, you need to go see who's backing and supporting and funding the fact checkers, right?
Yes.
So they're not an independent research group. You know, when we come to the realization that in all that we're looking at, these people have been bought and paid for. When you look at, Brother Reza talked about it, you can go to NOI.org and look it up for yourself and see all the facts. But from the beginning, we talked about these vaccinations since February and before. But in particular, February, Brother Reza headed up a panel discussion that featured not those of us who they would call conspiracy theorists or those who they claim are spreading misinformation. He brought the scientists and the doctors to testimony about these vaccinations, right? And when you start looking at the research, I've said this over and over again, and some have looked it up. When you talk about the mRNA, and I'm sorry, brother, it's a mistake to call them vaccination. When you look at the mRNA experiment, the mRNA technology has been rejected for 30 years. It was not until this special authorization was given that these mRNA experimentations have been allowed to be used among the people. So I say that to say that when they use this term anti-vaccination, that's a trick. Again, you're using language to deceive the people. It's not that we are anti-vaccinations. We're anti-experimentation. We're anti-depopulation. We're anti-destruction of the human family. We're anti-manipulation of the natural process of the body to fight diseases through our immune system and viruses through our immune system. And we're questioning these mRNA vaccinations because of the experimental nature of them. And as people have seen, when you go to VAERS and you look up the research and you look at the number of people that they are reporting who are dying. And when I say reporting, these reports are less than 1%. But you're not seeing this information being spread. You see that they came the other day and they said that the Johnson & Johnson vaccination was tied to a rare inflammatory condition of the heart. And they took it off of being used on the people. They took it off the market, so to speak, for a while. Then they came back and said it's okay. But then they come back again recently. I forget exactly what it was called, but they came back again recently. And they said, wait a minute, it's causing another rare, I think, nerve disease. We have not yet seen what is going to happen in the next 2 to 3 to 5 years. So to take it all the way back to Brother Reza Islam and the other 11 that are on the list, these are brothers and sisters. These are scientists, doctors, researchers who are raising the alarm. And they're raising the alarm. I remember Dr. Aleem Muhammad. Dr. Aleem Muhammad talked about the fact a few months ago that you were going to need these booster shots. When he first talked about the booster shots, they said, and I know we wouldn't necessarily, I don't know how we get on this subject, but a few months ago they said, no, you may not need the booster shot. Now they come back to say, yes, you do need booster shot, because they don't know the effectiveness of the so-called vaccination that they're giving the people. They're also telling people who are vaccinated, they're saying now, even though you are so-called vaccinated, even though you are protected, they are now getting sick from COVID-19, though they have the vaccination. One of the scientists who worked on the mRNA vaccination, he talked about shedding, vaccinated people shedding on Twitter. We talk about Reza Islam. Well, you may be able to say Reza had nothing to do with the he's not a scientist, he's not a doctor. Well, one of their own scientists who helped to develop the mRNA vaccination talked about the shedding that was taking place from vaccinated people from this spike protein that's been programmed into their body, and they banned him from Twitter. So the people are in great danger. The people are in great danger, but they don't know it. This is literally, brother, we come to the point where it's a fight for life or death. It's a fight for life or death. But the way that the government moves in this deceptive serpent type of way where they slither up next to the people, right? And they come with this couching that you talked about, the misinformation dozen or whatever the nickname that they're giving them, to make it seem as though I heard Kamala Harris say she used the scriptures to say that taking the vaccination was I'm paraphrasing her words, was the greatest example of Jesus in the scripture when he said, love thy neighbor. But they're not telling the people that the only reason that these vaccinations or so-called vaccinations were approved was because of the lobbying of these pharmaceutical companies, the millions of dollars that they paid to political leaders to sell the American people out. This is what's not being told. This is what's been hidden from the people. So when they hear those of us who are saying what we're saying, not that we don't have research, Brother Jeff talked about it, and I'm gonna try not to be so long-winded in this, Brother Jeff. But Brother Jeff talked about it. He talked about I lost my point. But the bottom line is, brother, this misinformation campaign that's going on, these lies, this deception that's going on with worldwide ramifications, it's a serious conspiracy against the lives, not just of the people of America, but of the world. Cuba is developing 5 vaccinations that have nothing to do with mRNA. In fact, about it, one of the vaccinations I believe that Cuba was developing was already being used in some places in the world. China, same thing. There are those who are developing these vaccinations that are not mRNA vaccinations. In fact, about it, this one that they're spending the most money on, these mRNAs, are hard to transport around the world because they have to be kept at a certain temperature. So here's something that you don't know the effectiveness of it. It's not readily usable and available, at least to the poorest nations of the world. And it's having adverse effects and reactions. Yet you are pushing it on the masses of the people. The last thing I will say, and we have to pay attention to it. If heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity, if all of these things have been killing black people for all of these years, and the government was not concerned. What do I mean when I say the government was not concerned? Go look for a study on black men's health outside of recent years. When I say recent years, I'm talking about last year. There were no singled out comprehensive study on the health of black men in recent history in this country. So all these comorbidities that they talk about that make us susceptible to the disease, if they weren't concerned about the comorbidities and the effect of these comorbidities on our lives, killing almost 65% of us dying from these different diseases, why are they now concerned with how many of us can or would be taken out by COVID-19 when it has, I think, a less than 1% a rate of those who die when they receive the sickness? Why are they concerned now? America has never been concerned with our health. Now they offering you chicken, they're offering you weed, they're offering you lottery tickets for you to take
booty to the pole
shot. This is a game that's being played and a deception that's being played in the lives of our people. And we need to really wake up and pay attention. So I'm gonna stop right there, brother. I'm sorry.
No, that was perfect because you actually segued right into the next topic, and going even further on this is the Biden administration announcing that they are now in discussion to tap everybody's phone to start reading our text messages to see who's speaking about the vaccination, who's handing out misinformation, this, that, and the third. So no, that was actually perfect, man. So have you heard anything about that, Brother Jeff? Have you heard about the particular plan?
Yes. All right. Before I jump on that real quick, I have to say this last point. And this has always been my biggest highlight when it comes to this vaccination thing and how they pushing it so much on our community so hard. You so worried about my health as far as this virus and it's affecting the most poorest community, aka the black communities. You know what I'm saying? You got all these reasons where which you make it sound like you're speaking from our best interest in heart. But yet, when we sit there and actually talk about the actual problems that we are trying to address, the things that are actually affecting our lives, such as, I don't know, getting shot by the police every other time, how can you really expect the person to believe that you care about them enough that you want them to take a vaccine when you don't even address the actual problems that they bring up on a daily basis? So on that part, I just had to say that. But okay, as far as this whole door-to-door thing, though, now actually come to find out, this actually has been going on longer than we actually learned about. Because when I first actually learned about this whole thing with Biden pushing that, I ended up looking it up a little bit more, and come to find out, this has been going on, I want to say like towards like last November. Like November, December, something like when they first started hitting, but it was only a few cities, like one or two cities at first when that was only the first couple of reports I found. And so they were doing news reports about it, and they were trying to make it seem like, oh, they just had people coming out, just checking on you, see if you know about the vaccine information. They send you with appointments and everything. But with that, there was one other video I had seen like last summer, actually, during the quarantine, where there was an individual. It was on a Daily Show. Okay, yeah, the point of the episode was about this dude was having a party when he supposedly just got tested for COVID, and he tested positive, or he just tested positive for COVID. And the police shows up because of the fact they got way too many people over here where everybody's supposed to quarantine. The thing about that I'm pretty sure a lot of people didn't catch, maybe only intelligent people did, there's a part where in which the officer had came up to the individual, and outside of basically everything that was going on, he ran his name in his computer. And he sat there and said, did you just get tested for COVID? He's like, yeah, and you tested positive? That right there, I stopped. Because of the fact that as soon as the officer ran his name, he seen that he had just got tested and he had tested positive. Why do police officers have medical information? You know what I'm saying? So
Wow.
basically, since I first heard about that, I already knew it was going to be any moment now. They're coming door to door. That was always going to be the next step. Next thing I know, I learned literally, I never even knew that they started doing the door-to-door thing until it was posted. And then when I look back in it, they've been doing this. They've been doing, like I said, I think since like the end of last year or the very beginning of this year. But it was in small groups. It was those, as I call them, the test rounds. See how people react.
Right. I'm thinking it's the same thing.
Crews with them as they were doing it.
Right.
Brother, to the comment that was just made by one of our viewers, you know, when COVID first hit, there's a couple of things I want to hit on. But when COVID first hit, the Phoenix L.O.C, we had a conversation with our Ministry of Health. We had this conversation with our Ministry of Health, and everybody needs to go back and look at the July 4, 2020. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he gave a lecture called The Criterion. And in that lecture called The Criterion, he was talking about COVID-19. And he talked about, I think it was 14 different treatments that were available for COVID-19. And the other thing he talked about, he said, is that our doctors of immunology should go and come together and start looking into the cure or the treatment for this, for the treatment of our own people. And then he also talked about asking the government of the United States of America to remove the embargo from Cuba. Now, remember, at this time, Cuba was sending doctors all around the world. In particular, people may remember when they sent the doctors from Cuba into Italy to help to fight the spread of COVID-19, where they were very successful. This was before any vaccination. This was in January, February, March of 2020. But we should go back and get that lecture. The reason why I'm saying that is that we came at the Ministry of Health for the Phoenix Local Organizer Committee. We came together and we put together a health guide. And the health guide was about boosting your immune system. If the disease is attacking the immune system, then what has to happen is we have to change our diets, we have to change our habits and boost our immune systems. Because that was the real answer, and it was the very simple answer. But when you look at this government, I mean, I really want everybody to think about what we are looking at, what's happening in front of our eyes, and the confusion that's going on around the world. Why can't they explain to us why Africa, who they expected it to hit hardest in Africa, why can't they explain why Africa is not suffering, since they are supposedly to have the lack of resources, the lack of access to cures and treatments? Why isn't Africa suffering from COVID-19 in the numbers that America is suffering? America was number one on the list. Okay, look at Haiti. When they did a documentary a report in Haiti, not a documentary, but what do they call those reports when they go to report? It's not really a documentary, but they were in Haiti. Mm-hmm. They were looking, and the only person that had a mask on in Haiti was the reporter. The rest of the citizens of Haiti didn't have on any mask. And the President Moisey, when they asked him about COVID-19, he said, we have a natural cure from the earth that we know how to go in and work our roots medicine, our traditional medicine, and use them to protect us from the sickness. See, it's something that's happening. Look at the Caribbean nations where they get plenty of sun and vitamin D. They told us to go in the house. They told us to shelter. We got out of the light of the sun. But those nations that stayed in the light of the sun, that used the natural cure from the earth, they were able to avoid this, what we're looking at really in this country, whether we understand it or not. We're really looking at a plague on this country. But I'm saying all that to say, we have to look now. We can't be foolish. We can't trust them. That's the problem. Some people say, well, we talk about Tuskegee, and they try to tell us Tuskegee was a long time ago. Well, it wasn't. That's number one.
No, it wasn't.
It just wasn't in the 70s.
Right.
But the reality is the experiment went on for 40 years. We cannot trust the government. It's not that we don't trust the government because we're paranoid. We cannot trust them to be truthful and honest with the people because of their history. Now, if third world, I brought those nations up for a reason. If third world nations can stop the spread of this disease without the technology, without the scientific resources and the know-how that this country has, and this country couldn't stop it, then that tells you something going on deeper than what's on the surface. And what we are looking at, you cannot, brother and sister, ignore that there is a depopulation agenda. There's a depopulation agenda. It's a national security memorandum 200, I believe that's it. Go look it up. This is not something we made up. It's the government of the United States of America talking about eradicating third world population. They're not just talking about eradication of poor population, people who are monetarily poor. They're talking about the eradication of the original darker people of the planet. They're not talking about Europe. They're not talking about the white population of America. They're talking about you. You in a war. But the sad thing about it is that we don't realize that we are in a war. So you hear voices talking about this and we shy away from that. That can't be, because we become comfortable in American society. But you know what, brother? What I learned when they cooking, I think it was the experiment that they did on frog. If you turn the water up and bring it to a boil and drop the frog or the crab in it, they'll try to jump out of the water. But if you put them in the water and turn the temperature up and it rises slowly, they'll sit in the water as the temperature changes, but it will be cooking them, and before they know it, they're dead. This is what's happening. So we have to develop a different mentality. This is not that we are some conspiracy theorists pulling ideas. No, we are people who are researching. My brother said, studying history. And based on our study and our research, we are looking at the very real steps that this government has taken against people of the planet. And we are saying, based on that research, looking into the future now from our study of history, we understand the motives. And we understand that motive brings reward. So the action looks like one thing, where we're trying to protect the lives of the American people. But what is the motive? Question the motive of the government. Why, brother? Now, to your question, why do you want to monitor now the personal text messages of the American citizen in a country that's supposed to be based on the rule codified in the law of freedom of speech? Now you're not just trying to silence me. You taking them off of social media. Well, why did they go after the text messages? Because the brothers realized, you taking me off social media. Well, then text 833 so and so, such and such and so, and you can still get the information. Now they say, okay, we want to stop them in the text messages. Why? If your vaccines work, it wouldn't matter what they say. If they're safe and they're effective, it wouldn't matter what they say, because the truth of the matter is, even though you got Brother Reza, Islam, and others on the list of 12 with the misinformation, is rural white people in the South that are in the largest numbers of those who are not taking the vaccination. So even your own people don't trust you. Now, if they don't trust you, why the hell should I? If your brother doesn't trust you, why should I? He knows your mentality better than I do. He knows your motive and operatum better than I do. He knows your thoughts. He knows your nature better than I do. If he doesn't trust you, then why should I? And if they have a history of destroying our people, as my teacher has already said, why should we trust them today? We should have trust issues. This is an abusive relationship that we have been in for the last 465 years. This has been a deceptive relationship that we have been in the last 465 years. Why should I now trust you to tell the truth? No, these are well-dressed lies. And what they're trying to hide from the people is the naked and ugly truth. It's like Mr. Putin said, don't get mad at us because we show you the mirror, and when you look in the mirror, you ugly. It wasn't us. It was your own reflection that you were looking at. So
that right there, man. That right there. Yeah, man. The other nations right now, I'm sure, are looking at this place like, either they're licking their chops, they're quaking in their boots, they're looking for opportunities to come in and do something, disrupt, or they're just sitting back and observing to see, what happens. But definitely
on itself, brother. They said with the vaccination and the virus, they said America is more divided now. You heard Biden say it. He said America is more divided now than in the Civil War. He even made alluding, and I didn't know this is a different subject, but to the modern Jim Crow. He said it's very real. That's the president of the United States of America, giving an assessment over the country that he rules. We better pay attention.
And that's the thing. Paying attention. So we spoke about it. I mean, we actually went. So the door-to-door thing is only now adding another layer to it. Well, wait. You said that we also supposed to be a country of laws, right? You mentioned free speech, but what about the right to privacy? What about privacy?
What about you don't have privacy in America?
Okay, now we're talking about a conversation when we're
privacy.
When you talk about something like that, now you're talking about the Constitution and like the constitutional law. And we get into that whole aspect, I'm always looking at it. Okay, and I'm a person who's a big advocate for the Constitution. Because that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's the only thing that is protecting me. To a degree, as long as I actually know how it operates and performing that aspect. But outside of that, the United States Constitution was never meant for us. It was never meant, and it will never be meant for us. And that's why it seems like the more we actually become active and do certain things, they kind of keep twisting it and manipulating it. Like, we're not going to completely get rid of it, but we're going to manipulate enough where which these people ain't going to be able to get real benefit from it. You know what I'm saying?
I hear brother say this, man.
I literally lost my point. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I hope I didn't interrupt you on that, man.
No, I went somewhere now. I meant to go somewhere.
Oh, okay. Well, I heard a brother say this, man, that the laws are toilet paper to the white man, because he just changes them all the time. It's literally tissue paper, like, okay, because at one moment, this is the forked tongue, double speak nature of this person that we dealing with. At one moment, he'll say, "Well, you have your right to free speech." In the next moment, we want to tap your phone to make sure you're not saying anything. One moment, you have the right to privacy. The next moment, we knocking on your door because we feel this way. So, what are we dealing with? We're dealing with a hypocritical nation. We're dealing with a bunch of people that feel that they are the only true Americans, the only true people who only people who deserve anything worth anything is them. Okay, we're like you said, the Constitution wasn't written for us, or wasn't written with us in mind, but we were damn sure in the Constitution,
Right.
because they had to figure out how to, the Negro problem has been a problem since, you know, what, 16, so-called 1619, some say 1555. It wasn't a problem until we got up off those plantations. That's when we became a problem. And the ones who were constantly running away.
Ever since we stopped working for free, we've been a problem.
We've been a problem ever since we started working for free. And ever since we shown that we can sustain without them.
Yep.
That's
the biggest, though. That's the biggest actual area that they hate the most, is the fact, despite how much they try to beat us down and put us in a box and try to reform us and do this or do that, put us back in slavery, even though they call it by a different name. Oh, now you're prisoner instead of slave. You know what I'm saying? We're constantly put in a situation where they let us know this is not meant for us. But for some reason, every time, since we know this isn't for us, why can't we just walk off? Why can't we leave? Why can't we do our own thing? You literally gave natives a chance to do their own thing, but you won't give you won't give the ex-slaves, you know what I'm saying, a chance. When we got freed, we literally had access to so many things that we built for ourselves. That's why we had the access. And then when we preceded them, they literally sit there and burn it down. But then turn around and sit there and say, black folks are some of the laziest people around. How do you do that? How does that even logically fit with people? That doesn't even make sense. But yet they've never done it to no other group. No other groups have ever went through this. While at the same time tell them, you ain't nothing. You ain't trying to do nothing. Y'all saying you. In fact, I didn't hear the whole conversation with Ben Carson, but apparently this dude, because I refuse to call him a brother. You know what I'm saying? This dude literally sit there and says that black folks was better in slavery than they are today. How do you get to a mindset like that? How does a brother, supposed to be a brother, you know what I'm saying, get to a mindset like that? And low-key, I really am asking the question. But no, it really, like that, it's just that kind of mindset that bugs me so much. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't.
So that wasn't a rhetorical. Right. So that wasn't a rhetorical question. I got you. But
right.
Man, that to tie that into this particular subject is it's all about awareness, man. Like you said, we have to be. Our people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. I think that was Hosea, book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 6 in the Bible, where it talks about. It's not that we don't have it, we're destroyed for lack of it. And I believe lack of it, and also application, not refusing to hear, not wanting to hear. And I think that's all a legacy, man, of what we've been through, man. Sometimes the truth is just scary. And we have a lot of black looking people who look like us, who on the outside, but on the inside, think and act a totally different way. They act like the oppressor. They're the oppressor. What did Chris Rock say? I think it was a comedian that said the new racism. Oh no, it was the brother out of Philly.
What was it?
He said the new racism won't come in a white face. It'll come in a brown. He said that'll be the new level of racism in the 21st century. It won't come. It won't come. The new face of racism won't come with a white face. It'll come in a brown.
Face.
Right.
We
Umar
can
Johnson.
actually
Umar
we can
Johnson.
certify that to this very day.
Yeah.
Not only
Umar
talking
Johnson.
about Hispanics and like that too, we talking about everybody.
Mhm.
Because basically anybody who comes to this country from any other lands, they treat us to the left like they not getting treated. You know what I'm saying? Like they like, okay, we know for a fact people don't like Arabs because of what September 11th, whatever. People had a big issue with Arab people for a while. Isn't it kind of funny that they still never went through as much discrimination? Because I promise you, I could walk through my neighborhood all the time and find Arabs who had businesses. Emphasis on multiple. You know what I'm saying? They don't look like they hurting. Don't look like they being discriminated against. Ain't nobody burning their business down. Ain't nobody out there protesting. Ain't nobody trying to fight them. But yet, any and everything we've ever done, that's exactly what happened. So when we come to the whole thing of the new face of racism, it really does make more sense. Because in all reality, it ain't them white folks that's kicking us our butts no more. It's them folks that sit in our neighborhoods every day selling us the bull. I swear I'm promising I'm trying not to cuss. They're the ones who sell us the bull products who completely destroy our people every single day. Who literally just gives us the bull food. Asians probably don't eat the mess that they eat. That's why they got Mexicans cooking the food most of the time. Yo, we're literally in a situation where these people are literally coming in and they are the new face of white supremacy. They taking up the mantle and doing the work for them. In fact, low-key, can we almost sit there and say they're the new slaves of white supremacy? You know what I'm saying? Because white folks ain't got to do the work no more. They got somebody else do the work for them.
Well, let's
they're
be
the
clear.
buffer.
I'm sorry, brother. I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, make your point.
Let's be clear. Caucasian people have always, the ruling class, I'm not talking about white Mike that live on the block with you. Okay? Let's be clear. I'm talking about the ruling class, the elite. They have always understood how to use one against the other. They have always understood how to throw a rock, and hide their hand. See, what has happened, brother asked the question. There's a sickness called white supremacy. White supremacy is a sickness. It's a mental disease. Let's be very clear. And that mental disease called white supremacy has been something that has been perpetrated on the world in the form of racism, in the form of colonialism, right? And in its most extreme form, chattel slavery. And when we understand the history and the methodology behind it, this was about going into the community of indigenous people, no matter where they are, and teach them that the lighter are better than the darker. Now, this is not something that's just been going on for, the last 50 or 60 years. This has been going on for centuries. So we got to understand that when you look at the black man today, when you look at the brown man today, when you look at the yellow man today, when you look at the red man today, we have all been victims of white supremacy. And the mindset of the ruling class has become the mindset of the population of the people of the earth. So yes, you can look in America that's supposed to be the melting pot, and you can see the mistreatment of the black man by the Arab. You can see the mistreatment of the black man by the native. You can see the mistreatment, but you can also go into the Africa, and you can see the black man mistreating his brother. One speaking French, the other one speaking Spanish or Portuguese, and they're enemies of one another. Haitian, the Dominican, though they live on the same island, but they had different colonial masters. And the idea of hatred for the colonial master, even sometimes the French hating the Portuguese or the French hating the British, even sometimes that idea that they had, they put it into their slave population. So whoever the master hated, we hated. So the question today, in modern time, if you still see this form of self-hatred, if you still see this form of oppression, if you still see this mistreatment of the original people, even by other original nations, original people, indigenous people, the question has to be asked, who is your master? And our teacher, he said that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he said that the slave is one who the circumference of his activity is controlled by the diameter of his master's thinking. So we never think outside of the box. This is why when Marcus Garvey was president, he was vilified. Because when Marcus Garvey came with the UNIA, he started preaching independence, self-reliance, self-determination, building up your own, connecting with your people in the diaspora. They took the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, vilified him. Why? He was teaching self-determination. He was teaching us that we should own our own banks and loan money to ourselves. They wanted us in this fight to make them loan money to us. So we fought for them to accept us into we fought for them to accept us, listen to this, brother, into their restaurants, at their lunch counters. We fought for them to accept us on the bus and transportation. We fought for them to accept that we could drink out the same water fountain. We fought for them to accept us that we could be buried in the same graveyard. But when we did it, the black bus companies who were in the South, and then they started closing down because we no longer had to go into and ride we were able to ride on the white bus and not have to go to the back. The black hotels closed down because we no longer had to, shack up with one another, go support the black hotel. We could go and we could be in the Hyatt now. We could be in the Renaissance now. We could be in the fine white establishment now. We stopped supporting our own. Economic development went down. We had a conversation today here in Phoenix. We were talking about how black teachers in Phoenix, Arizona, who were teaching black students, were causing black students to excel because they loved black students and they wanted them to be successful. But because at the integration and because the white community, white schools wanted that money, they allowed the integration of the school. And when we integrated into white school that we thought were better, we closed down the black school. So then you see a whole generation of us who come out who are not entrepreneurs. We are not builders. We are not establishers of our own. We learn how to build corporate America up. We still celebrate being the first black CEO. We still celebrate being the first black president of this, the first one to have. But we have left the future of our children in the hands of our enemy. We've left the future of our people in the hands of those whose mindset is to destroy us. So again,
one question. Why?
I'm gonna say this last point just to bring it home, brother. I'm sorry but it is this master-slave relationship that has to be broken. And when we break that mindset, it won't matter what law they pass. It won't matter what legislation or policy they do or don't. We don't have to worry about them agreeing. Why do I have to worry about you agreeing to teach critical race theory in the schools with my children when I got the ability to open up my own school and teach my children myself? Why should I be concerned on whether or not you will teach my children the truth when the responsibility of teaching my children the truth, the onus is on me? I understand we still have some that are in the public school system. I get it. I'm not saying we abandon our children. I'm saying that we take charge of our own destiny as a people. It's a shame that we have not taken charge of our destiny as a people. You can look at the man killing you through the food. You won't grow your own food. You won't buy your own land. Come on now. You know, this is my last point, brother. As an adult, I can only blame my parents for my shortcomings and my trauma for so long. After a while, I have to take responsibility for myself. But I'm not going to keep going back and forth. My mama didn't do this. My daddy he didn't. I get it. But now I have to take charge of my own life. Black people have to take charge of their own life. If the Arab won't respect us, if the Korean won't respect us, if the Indian won't respect us, then don't patronize their stores. Open up your own store. Put theirs out of business. Tell your people we got the same product. They don't know how to respect us. They got to leave our community and we take charge of our community ourselves. We have become too politically correct in that sense. But our political correctness is to the detriment of the survival and the advancement of our people. Again, this is not a game. This is serious, and we don't have another 50 years or another generation. What do I mean by that? Seriously now, last point. We are now fighting again for voters' rights. You mean to tell me we've returned to a 50, almost 60-year fight again to fight for the right to vote? You mean to tell me we rallying around that again? You think that it's wise now to organize another generation around that idea when they've already shown us that these ideas that we fought for, that we died for, that we let them sick dogs on us, we let them put water hoses on us, we let them beat us down, kill some of us, murder us, lynch us for these laws and bills. We lost Dr. King because of this. We lost Malcolm in this fight. You think that it's wise now to take on this same mentality and this same fight in this same manner? No. We have the resources, the skill, the know-how, and the ability to do for ourselves. And if we are going to stand up and be men, if we're going to stand up and be women, if we're going to stand up today for anything, we should stand up for the right of self-determination. We should stand up for the right to write our own history, to write our own way forward. Anything else is a waste of our time. And it's a show of the lack of understanding of the lesson of the past. It means we have not learned anything. Therefore, we are doomed to repeat the history. And I don't plan, by the help of Almighty God, to repeat that type of history. We got to be warriors today. And we've lost the fighting spirit. We've lost the warrior spirit because we want to be comfortable. That's why many people now, you would take that shot in your arm, even though you don't trust, you would take the shot in your arm because you want to be comfortable. You want to return back to normal. But America will never return back to normal. And God damn it, you won't either. And the circumstances are presenting themselves to force you that we will never return back to a normal way of life again. Not in this country, not in the world. You have to change because the times are changing. Your thinking has to change because reality is changing. And if you and I don't change with the time and change with the reality, we are condemned to death. Because anything that lives in the past is already dead.
You're already dead. We better to piggyback on that. Let me mute y'all. To piggyback on that, we have to understand that that playtime is over. I don't think we get that. And I think we spoke about this last time. There's a certain fear, I think, in our people, man, where we don't want to assume power. We don't want to master our own destiny because we had white daddy do it for us for so long. And there's a fear of responsibility because you know what? We got to build those houses out in the field. We got to dig those ditches for our irrigation. We got to plant, so we got to create the jobs and then hire our own. We got to take the responsibility for educating our own. And there's too many of us that don't want to do it, that are afraid to do it, that have that old mentality, that there's still too many of us with that 60s, 50s mentality in the sense of we still want to be accepted. We still want to be, I just need to show this white man that I can be, that I am this, that I am that, instead of establishing the fact that let me show you who I am and not beg for you to like me. Let me show you who I am. But this time, I'm going to protect myself as I'm building. This time, I'm going to build businesses, hire my own, and we're going to line it with security cameras, and we're going to line it. It's our history. It's all of that. We got to protect all of that. We got to protect all of that. And I don't think, and specifically, brother, because we know each other so well, I know you specifically is for sisters too, for sure. But specifically speaking to our brothers, all right? And this is a time right now. This is a time right now where, brother, we got to take it even higher. We got to take it even beyond what we see. We understand spirituality. We understand the things that are coming down the pike. We understand that. We see it every day, but there are so many of us that don't see it, that are not operating on that spirit, but reaping this cosmic karma that's coming around. This knocking on the door stuff, that ain't no joke. These text messages, that ain't no joke. These things are in the discussion phases, but best believe if things turn up, it's not just going to be a medical professional showing up at your door. It's going to be escorted by a police officer or maybe someone from the military or the National Guard. Like this is the type of level
they already are.
Say that again.
I'm sorry, I had to cut in there. They are actually already showing up with police officers.
See, and in certain instances happening right now.
Showing up.
Wow. So
they come with cases and everything, but it's still the same difference.
Right. So then now the rubber is starting to meet the road now. Okay, because these things are happening in drips and drabs. Now the stuff is starting to meet the road. So now what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? As a community, as a people, and this is how I kind of want to tie it up. Going back into the L.O.C., the local organizing committee. Why was this even created? We just had a 6-year anniversary. Am I right, brother? We had a 6-year anniversary of the L.O.C.
We of the Phoenix L.O.C. But we are also in the 6th year of the actual Justice or Else movement beginning in October 10/10/15. October 10th. 2015.
There it is. And I see us.
Brother, I don't know. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, brother. Because this is the closeout, the tie in to everything that we talked about. No. Listen to what I'm saying. You think I'm cutting them off, brother?
No, I do.
No, what I want now is everything that we talked about, kind of, put into a summary, and what it is segueing perfectly into the L.O.C, which is how we're going to close out with what's happening with our organization. But how does all of this tie into even why the L.O.C even exists?
And no, I laugh, brother, because my spirit is there, but it's somewhere else at the same time. Because, and I don't know if it'll make sense to the audience. We have to stand up and be men. That's what my spirit is, brother. We have to stand up and be men. Our women and our children cannot respect us as men if we are not building a future for them. It ain't about, how much gold you got on, brother. It ain't about how big your muscles are. It ain't about how long your dreads are. When you talk about the real respect of our women and children, they're looking for us to establish those things that are associated with growth and development of life and advancement of life and their ideas. So when you really understand where this idea came from, out of the mind of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, to start a movement that's not based on religion, that's not based on our individual philosophies or disagreeing ideology, but to start a movement that is based on the understanding that we have to develop the institutions to take care of our own needs. If you understand that idea, then you get into the root of why a local organizing committee is necessary, why a state organizing committee is necessary, why a regional organizing committee is necessary, why a national organizing committee and an international organizing committee is necessary. We are at the infant stage when we talk about local organizing committees. This is the basic building block by which we take the 9 ministries or 10 ministries and we organize them spiritually, science and technology, education, justice, agriculture, trade and commerce, information, arts and culture. We take these governmental bodies, the basic building blocks of service, and look and see, how do we serve the people educationally? How do we serve the people agriculturally? What do we need to develop in science and technology? What do we need to develop in the way of defense? What do we need to develop in these particular areas? What skill set, what mind do we need to put together in a room in unity and begin to strategize our idea on how we're going to move forward, then organize ourselves in an effective way, put structure around what we are doing, then grow it up, starting small, grow it up into what's needed, not just for the Muslim, not just get for the Hebrew Israelites, not just for the More Science Temple of America, not just for the Ifa, not just for the community that you live in. How do we think for the whole? How do we think for the diaspora? How do we think for suffering and oppressed people around the world, wherever they are? This is the root idea of what we are trying to do. We are not just out here, you see a brother with pat. We're not just running and popping off at our gum just for the sake of pleasing an audience and get a hand clap. No, will you take your hand and put your hand to the plow and put in the work that it takes to build over the next 2 years, over the next 5 years, over the next 10 years, over the next 15 years? Would you make what you do today so that it plants a seed that will work for the development of our people and a new mindset and a new reality and a new condition 50 years from now, 100 years from now. You're living in a nation that's 200 years old. We talked about the Constitution where they wrote a document that laid the framework of how they would build a nation. That nation has become the most powerful nation on earth. If we are the best, if we are the brightest, if we're the original people, if we're the mother and father of civilization, if we taught civilization to the world, we taught the European, we taught the rulers of the world, we gave them the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding that they have, all the way up into mapping the stars. If we gave them that and they're able to rule, then what else is in us? That we could grow and develop and build for ourselves the things that we need. It's not impossible, but a mindset has to be overcome. The willingness to sacrifice and to organize, the willingness to sacrifice your own pleasures and your own personal desires and your own self-aggrandizement, your own self-satisfaction, your own inability to see beyond your own, beyond the tip of your own nose has to be sacrificed, and we have to be built into a new person that we can now work together to build a new reality that not just makes it good for me or you, or that I can leave a legacy for my children. What are we leaving for the whole? How can my brother's children benefit off the work that I do? How can they have an equal footing in the world off of what I do? How can my sister's children have a benefit off of the work that I do, off the structure that I build? What kind of shoulders can they stand on? Not looking to the ancestors, but taking on the work and the mission that the ancestors left behind, standing on their shoulder, looking now and saying, okay, this is the next move. That's what kind of organization this is. So I can talk about what we're doing. You can go on the website and you can look and see what we're doing. You can go to the social media pages and you can look and see what we're doing. But it ain't just about looking for you to see what we're doing and then admire it and say, oh, that's great work, and pat us on the back. Good job. No. Will we stand up now? Say, man, you know what? I can contribute to that. I can help grow that. I can help make that better. I can bring my talent, my skill to that, and I can make that something they may have never imagined before. Matter of fact, I can help establish that wherever I go. I can talk to my brother and sister, and I can pull them on board, and we can create a new reality. It's within our reach. It's within our grasp. All we have to do is make the decision. We have to decide today. And I studied the minister's spirit as he was going around, Brother Jermaine, galvanizing the people for justice or else. It was a spirit of war. Why a spirit of war? Because we are a people that are under attack and fighting for our survival. Now, you may not have been able to see it 10 years ago. But it started coming more and more into fruition 5 years ago. And if you can't see it today, you're blind. You're blind. You need a surgery. And the scales need to be removed from our eyes so we can see what's in front of us and start moving in a different direction. We really don't have a choice. We have the illusion of choice. But in a few more days, brother, it won't be even an illusion of choice. It will either be to do or die. And that for some may be drastic. I know you can't see it because you can still go out on the weekend and do your thing. But I want to take you back to 2020, COVID-19, when the reality changed. You couldn't go to church. You couldn't go to the club. You couldn't go to the mall. You could hardly go to the grocery store. See, it happened in a twinkling of an eye. It's happening again. So I don't know, brother, if that answers your question. I don't know if you wanted me to talk about some events, or, something like that. But that's just not where my spirit is. I just, Brother Jermaine, I just know that our people are in a serious state of affairs. and that we are not taking it serious enough.
Can I actually
If
speak
you
on that
love
real
your
quick?
people, you don't want to see your people hurt. If you love your people, you don't want to see your people suffer. If you love your people and you see something coming, I'm going to say this to all of us who have the truth, all of us who know. I hear you talking, brother and sister. Well, the people won't listen. So what? So what if they don't listen to what you said? So what if the wisdom that you espouse is despised? Tell it anyways. Tell
That's
it
it.
anyway.
That's it.
Because our people, if it's one thing they deserve the warning, they deserve the wisdom, they deserve the guidance. If they accept it or not, it doesn't matter. Give it to the people. Because what we are looking for is just a few to accept. The few will have to be the trailblazer for the whole. So don't give up. Don't get tired. Don't get the mentality now. Oh man, I'm done. These niggas, these Negroes, I'm done. No, that can't be the mentality. Our people need those who will say, man, I don't care what it is. If I have to do it by myself to show you the example, I would do that. Because you're worth it. You're worth it. They said, when you look at the establishment of this country, and you look at that Congress, well, I can't remember his name right now, but he was in the argument with the other congressional leaders of the Union of the Colonies. They didn't want to let go of the hand of the crown. It was great benefit in being part of the hand of the crown. They didn't want to sacrifice their lives. And what he said at the end of that, when they refused to stand in a revolutionary spirit against the oppression, he said, give me liberty or give me death. So it has to be a mentality. Death is better than tyranny. Death is better than oppression. Death is better than leaving our children to suffer like we suffered. And that if we could live for them, not that you got to die, but if you could live for them, then what kind of life, what kind of world should we build? You upset at white folks, but white folks built a world. Where's yours? And when are you gonna make the conscious decision that you're gonna build a world? Whether you decide to join the L.O.C. or the NAACP or whatever, you cannot, as a black person today, you cannot, as a brown or oppressed person today, take the position that you're gonna stand idly by and watch it from the sidelines. And it's not enough to pick up a phone and record injustice. That's not enough anymore. We have to take on the responsibility of building and organizing in our community to solve the problems that are plaguing us. If they won't defund the police department and allow you to have the funds to come in and deal with the mental health and the economic health and the physical health of your community, rather than sending militarized police departments into your community, take on that responsibility for yourself. Patrol and defend and protect your own community. And then when they come, you can say, we got that taken care of. There's no need for you here anymore. Don't complain about food desert. Don't complain about the lack of healthy food. Don't complain about the grocery store. You talk about the water crisis in Flint, Michigan. We know they closed the grocery store down in the inner city and moved them to the suburbs. They did the same thing in Chicago. They're doing it to urban areas all around the world. Why complain about them taking their grocery stores out and moving it to the suburbs? Say good riddance to that trash. Go look at the building. Put your money together and say they moved out of the building so that it could be a place for us. Let's now come together, brothers and sisters, and open up our own grocery store. We ain't got to complain about what they won't do for us. Let's get up now. We got the ability All we got to do is develop the courage and do it for ourselves. So I'm going to stop right there, brother, because I could go on and on about this reality that we face. But I just hope that our people develop the mindset from your little brother talking to you, develop the mindset. And God damn it, I'll change it. Greater is he that is in me than he that's in the world. And nothing can come against me to stop me today because my heart is for the love of my people. There's nothing that can stop me today. And you come together in love with your brother and your sister, united in love. Nothing can break your bond. Not envy, not jealousy, not hatred. Nothing can break the bond of love for brother and sister. And you take that unbreakable bond, tie it together with your ideas, tie it together in unity and organizational structure, and use that love. They say love conquers all. Well, goddamn it, fall in love with each other and conquer the world. It's ours. It's for us today. The decision has already been made that the world is for us. We have not made the choice and decision to take what's being offered to us. But when we decide to take it, there's nothing in this world, nothing that this enemy has that can stop us. Our unity is more powerful than the nuclear or the atomic bomb, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. Marcus Garvey said, up, you mighty nation, you can accomplish what you will. What is it that you will today, black man? What is it that you will today, black woman? Is it freedom? Is it justice? Is it equality? Is it a life of luxury and beauty and a life of peace? And if that's what you will, be who you are, the descendants of God himself. Access the power of God in you. And bring into reality whatever it is that you will. There's nothing that can stop you. The only thing that's standing in our way is our own self today. Get your own self out of the way of your own advancement, your own development, your own freedom. Get out of your own way. And we would be free overnight.
And with that said, Brother Jeff, go ahead and close this. Give us a closing comment. Brother, that was, yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
You want me to follow up behind that? Like, wow. Okay,
Yes, sir.
like, okay, y'all saying my brother spoke mad gospel. Like, I don't even know how to follow up behind it like that because every word he spoke was complete wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Because the very factors that we need to break down, the only thing I can, and I'm sorry, the only thing I can do is break it down from my understanding. You might hear that from the light. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, you know what I'm saying? From my understanding, I love my brother who's, you know what I'm saying, we brought up the fact that we're in a war. Like I said, I'm part of the Ministry of Defense. And that's kind of where my mindset always is. Yo, like I definitely love my people, and I'm definitely trying to move in an aspect to which I want to improve me and mine. Yo, so I guess pretty much what I'm also trying to express is, I'm sorry, I'm serious. That man spoke so much depth into things. It's hard to even put it all into one thing. But okay, let me just highlight my point then. I'll put it this way. You know what I'm saying? I want to touch back on when Brother Tramika's talking about the whole thing, the whole concept of the fact that we're in a war. Because of the fact that we're in a war, I like to maintain a mindset of being a warrior mind. You know what I'm saying? More warrior class, where in which I constantly think of everything from a soldier's mindset. With that being said, everything he said we need to build up, I will go on the other side of where we also need to build up our defense. I don't know how many people listening, how many people watch, this, that, but I will sit there and say my biggest thing is I really want to get more connected with my people who know other skills, all the way from metalsmith all the way to archers, gunsmiths, gun enthusiasts, things that actually work on our defense. Because if we're in a true war, like we're saying, then we need to start putting our mindsets in that situation, getting back to that warrior mind, while at the same time always maintain that peaceful aspect of ourselves like we've always naturally been. We are a peaceful individual. War is not our thing. We don't want war. We don't want chaos. We don't want disruption. We want peace. But you cannot achieve peace unless you're ready for war. So with that being said, me, myself, as an individual, I learned not only, you know what I'm saying, how to actually work with guns and all of that, but also with archery. Guns are knives, blades, things of these natures. My point being is, like, we need to start bringing these to the forefront of bringing this to like that we have the ability. Because I'm not trying to make this sound as messed up as it kind of almost feel like it's coming off. I'm more or less saying, if these people are looking into these areas of knowledge, we need to be looking into those same areas of knowledge. Like I said, I'm only coming from the aspect of Ministry of Defense. And my whole mindset is always defense. So it's like literally, if they're going this aspect, we need to go in the aspect. If they're doing this, we need to be doing that. So it's like, I'm sorry, bro. Brother Tremigas, you threw out so much. It's kind of got me all flabbergasted. I'm all over the place right now.
That's all right. That was a
thing though. If I want to send out any message though, if we close or anything, it's like me personally with this, I would like to find people who have skills in those areas, in these types of areas that know something of that, because of the fact is right now we're vulnerable as hell because we don't know how to defend ourselves properly in this sense. Oh, I guess my biggest one I always used to bring up is the fact of we don't know how to make a bullet, but we know how to make everything else. So work with the skills that we have so we can build it up and be prepared defensively while we're growing ourselves independently. Because we've done been shown time and time again that these folks don't want us to do it. And the only reason it failed before is because there was no real defense like it should be. So let's say that's why I really highlight the fact that this is my concept. I want everybody to be more defensive mindset. Be prepared. Get ready. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be a victim. Don't be a victim. Don't allow yourself to be in a predicament where you can be a victim. Build ourselves up so we're constantly protected and we're in a situation where nothing can interfere. Until we come together completely as a collective, we're only, I'm going to put it rightly, 50%. And that's not true, but I'm saying 50-50. We're only halfway to what our true goal is of self-sustaining independence. Because right now, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to address really quickly a few of the comments that are coming in here. Before we, I guess I was gonna close it out, but I guess we got a little more to go. One of the comments says we can't teach. I'm gonna put it up. I'm gonna post it so we can see it. So, and then get your reactions to a particular comment, because I wanted to tie it all into, and you did it perfectly, Brother Tremigas, without going into specifics of what each ministry is doing. You gave an overall.
Address this real quick. When you say we can't teach defensive skills before building education because guns don't kill people, ignorant people kill people, and you're absolutely right. But that's kind of my point right there, where I sit there and say we need to start educating ourselves more on that aspect instead of basically, hey, here, take a gun and go do something, or take a bow and arrow and go do something. No. It's only through education that we do actually get to that point. But the thing is, we're actually acting like our own, the very thing that can give us defense is bad. Okay, in fact, let me drop it out this. The best saying out, and it's kind of like the biggest mindset of myself is, it was a saying that I heard years ago. It said that only slaves are not allowed to have guns, or AKA slaves are the only ones who are not allowed to have protection. So it's like, with that being said, we need to get a understanding of our own self-defense. Okay, in fact, I'm even go this way. In the 1980s, I believe, Eric Bernice was the Ministry of, not Ministry of Defense, I'm sorry. He was the Attorney General or something like that. I'm sorry, I can't think of the second. But he basically said that he wanted to make guns, bring into the concept of American people's mindset that guns were a bad thing. In all reality, it wasn't. But it was a concept. It was a programming that he wanted to put towards the American mind to get to that. That's why we're seeing so much of this. And like I say, only slaves are not allowed to protect themselves. And as long as we have that mindset of non-protecting or not self-defense, in that sense, we're always lacking.
I mean, you know, when you got to think about it, man. When you know, as a black man, when you say self-defense, people automatically think violence. You know, that's you know, that we're, as black men, the perpetrator of violence when we say,
why don't they think
we're defending ourselves? We're defending ourselves. Well, it's a mentality. It's a how can I say it? It's a mentality that is stoked in fear. That's all it is. Because if I slap you and slap you and slap you and constantly slap you, the minute you slap me back, you know what I'm saying, I get offended because you slap me back. Or if I say, hey, look, if you do it again, I'm gonna slap you back. Now I accuse you of being violent against me because I slapped you. You shouldn't want to slap me back. Even if you want to slap me back, slapping me back is wrong because that's revenge. You see what I'm saying? So that goes back to what the brother was talking about. We have an abusive relationship with these people, you know, in this place. And what we need to get to at this point in time to wrap this up, because I just remember I have another meeting.
Can I?
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Yeah, let me finish this point, brother.
No doubt. I really like, that's the thing in which I love about this whole conversation right now is the fact of the depth that is going. Because honestly, in all reality, you know what I'm saying, I'm only an individual. In fact, between the two of you, I feel like I'm the outsider for the vast majority, not literally, but I'm sitting there saying I feel like I'm the outsider on the whole concept that you guys have because I'm so defensive. And that's always been my angle.
Can I speak to that really quick? The sister is right. I would say we would have to do both. You know, it's only a light study of, I'm going to call it this because I heard this term recently. It's only a light study of black gun formations. If you do a light study of the history of black gun formation and the eventuality of those groups, what happened in those groups, the weaknesses, the failures, the frailties, some successes, but for the most part, many of them don't exist anymore. It tells you, number one, that we have to be able to think about defense of our community beyond guns. You know, Sun Tzu in the Art of War.
When you say that, that's actually kind of the way
let me finish. Sun Tzu in the Art of War, he talked about being able to win a war without fighting. What is he talking about? The first thing that has to happen is ignorance does have to be eradicated. Otherwise, we'll turn those weapons on ourselves. There has to be a certain spirit of love and brotherhood that exists in our communities. But I will also say this. It was Thomas Jefferson who talked about, who one of the first people in this country to talk about the need for Black people to be given a separate state or territory of their own and to be given weapons and provisions to defend themselves. So we also have to recognize that as much as we don't want to see bloodshed, that's not anything that we want to see. We still have to have the ability as a community to be able to defend ourselves. So, brothers and sisters, I don't want to go too deep into that. I think that there are ways that we could learn to defend ourselves, educate ourselves, and eventually be able to defend ourselves with weapons when that becomes necessary. But there is a great deal of educational work, mental work that has to be done with our people. Let's just be honest. The little pop guns that we have in the hood are not enough for us to go up against our enemies in that way. Not at this time. This man had the helicopter gunship. He had a drone that he could be out on the Pacific Ocean, and he could program your image and location into that drone and send that technology to your doorstep in a matter of seconds. He could erase entire neighborhoods with just one of these Tomahawk helicopters that he had. So I get it. I understand it. We as an organization are not advocating for armed struggle. We're not advocating that we go out in the streets in that way. But what we are saying is that we do have to have means and methods to defend ourselves and our communities in the event that we are attacked. And we are.
That's why I highlight the fact of defense. It's all about defense.
It's about defense. So we have to be able to defend ourselves, but we don't have a option to do one or the other. We have to educate ourselves and learn to defend ourselves at the same time. It's not this or that, brothers and sisters. It's not that. It's not this or that. That's why we have 9 separate ministries. The Ministry of Education focuses on educating. The Ministry of Defense focuses on defending. The Ministry of Information focuses on bringing the information. The Ministry of Agriculture focuses on growing the food and so on and so forth. Growing the food and developing land so that we could build for ourselves. This thing has to be compartmentalized. So I'm gonna stop on that, brother, because as long as there are comments coming in, there'll be conversation that's going on.
But that was
thank you, brother.
Shamika's on bringing that point up because I appreciate that, because I really want to highlight that the fact that I'm just at one angle of this, because there's so many other angles that need to be addressed, and not even addressed, but that we are. The L.O.C. itself, is way bigger than this. I'm just one angle. In fact, the way I almost want to put it, I'm one officer in a department that's over here, but it ain't got nothing to do with over here.
Yes, sir.
Because there's many angles to this, and it needs to be broadcast that we need everybody on all the angles.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? That's my biggest thing. If you can help me out, cool, let's get it. If you can help the other organizations, get it. Get in what's perspective to you that you act on what you're about. Get it. We are here for that, and we want to see that. But I definitely want to see my Ministry of Defense grow bigger and get a deeper understanding of things, of it all defense aspects. That's why I give so much love to my brother James, Like he has been teaching me so much, and it's a beautiful thing. It's out here. We have the ability. Let's get it together as a family.
All right, y'all. With that said, family, you know what to do. You've seen the comments. I think that was the last. Yeah, that was the last comment that we had. If we had any more, go ahead and
Brother
comment.
Jermaine,
Yes, sir.
I do want to say that I from the delivery earlier in the passion that I believe that God put on me in that delivery. I'm not changing that. I don't want anybody to think that we're backing down from that. We said what we said. You're
Yes, sir.
taking it along.
Absolutely. No taking that back. We doing what we do. And that passion, that's what's driving this thing, brother. That is the fire beneath the three of us sitting right here. You expressed it. The three of us got it burning inside of us. That's
And
why
there's more of us.
and there's more of us. All the family is seeing right now is just the three of us, but there's more of us, family. There's more of us. And you've seen it. Feel free to donate on the Cash App. Feel free to visit the website, family, because I did post that website up. I'll put it up one more time. And check it out, family. Look, you see what we're about. Coming in the next few shows, I'm going to be showing our sisters, the women, who are also driving this organization forward
Yeah.
to a whole nother level. We'll be talking about agriculture. We'll be talking about mental health. We'll be talking about bee and honey cultivation. So we'll have a full gamut of the wisdom and the knowledge of my sisters coming up this week. So family, feel free to go ahead. Let me put this website up one more time because we're going to go ahead and close this out. Brothers, I thank you very much for coming on. Brother Chamikas, Brother Jeff, your perspectives are valuable. Brother Chamikas, you know what this is. Brother Jeff, we'll do it again. We'll have more brothers and sisters coming on from the organization. Understand, family, we're building an institution. This is just the beginning blocks of an institution. We need our own media apparatus. And this is where it starts, family. So subscribe, share, continue to comment. We have some great comments tonight. One sister was putting some great comments in there that we did actually get a chance to address. There was one or two, which you talked about it because we didn't get a chance to address, but every other comment we addressed in one way or another. So again, family, yeah, mental health is a must. This is what she just put here. So yeah, we'll be discussing that. Definitely mental health in depth, family. So come back. We are on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 6 to 6:30 p.m. within that time frame. But join us, family, because we will be here on a consistent basis, delivering what you need. We'll also be doing specials. We also have plenty of events coming with the L.O.C. Go to our website. I think I put it up. Go to our website. Check us out. You can also check us out on Facebook on our Phoenix L.O.C. Facebook page. Go ahead and join. It's pinned in the it's pinned in the description. The application to join the Phoenix L.O.C. All right, run out and join us, family, because you know what? As was said before, time is not our friend right now. Yeah, we are people who like to have a good time, who like to go out, who like to party, who like to laugh and enjoy each other. But right now is not the time, family. Right now is the time to tighten up. If that's the first thing on your mind, if partying is the first thing on your mind, you're not paying attention. Because even it happened in the days of Noah, right? They were partying and drinking, right? Everybody was having fun. They saw Noah building the ark. The L.O.C. is the ark. We're building the ark. We're building the ark for the impending flood. We're telling you a flood is coming. You see us building the ark, but as we're apt to do, we won't worry about that. Okay? I'll say this and we'll close out. I'll say this and we'll close out. The people of the city did not take the prophets seriously about the impending war until the war was on their doorstep. That's when they woke up, but it was too late because the war was there. Don't be too late, family. I paraphrase that. Don't be too late, family. This is not something that we can just scoff at. The comments were great, but we would love to see you in our orientation class. We would love to see you sign up. We would love to see you out at the garden. We would love to see you participate in educating our children. We'd love to see you writers out there who are about I won't say anti-establishment, who are following in the footsteps of Black nationalist thought and ways of life and movement and action, not just words. Come join us. We could use some writers. We're also building a website where we're going to be pumping out daily articles and news features about what's going on in the community, not just here, but internationally. All right, family. Thank you all for tuning in. Once again, Brother Tremikas, Brother Jeff, thank you both for the love. I'm sorry, Brother Jeff, I put you on mute. Thank you, Brother Jeff, for coming out, man. It's truly appreciated.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for hosting.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. And sister, thank you very much for your beautiful, beautiful comments. Tamara Mullings Hamil, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep. Hey, feel free to check out the website, sister. Feel free. You know, we'd like to meet your millionaire sons. Come on through. We could use that mentality, you know, and to help our youth. All right. Because her sons are 18 and 23, and she's built the brothers up to be millionaires. So, hey, it's already being done. We could use that knowledge. We could use what you put into your sons for the L.O.C., for the upliftment of the entire community. Your sons can educate our community on how to build wealth. All right, sis. So come on through. Come on through. Thank you, family. Thank you, brothers. Have a great night. We'll be back on Wednesday with another edition of the Waking Giant News Show. Everybody, like, share, and continue to comment. And please donate. Peace, family. Have a great night.
Peace. You too, brother. Peace.